Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you are doing well. Very interesting day today. By the way, today is Thursday, September 4th. The stock market is firing on all cylinders. S&P is close to all-time highs, as you can see from this chart. On the heels of some job numbers that came in the Goldilocks zone, basically. We'll get a more thorough understanding of how the job numbers are in the United States tomorrow. But essentially, we're looking at an economy that is slowing and is not breaking. And so that's kind of the Goldilocks zone. We'll see again if we get confirmation in tomorrow's report as well. But that is very bullish for stocks because that means that there is a reason for an interest rate cut without there being a reason for panic. And so we saw the major indices do very well today. Russell was up 1.25%. Now, Tesla was up 1.33%. Gold and silver continue to do very well, as I think there's another reason for gold, precious metals to appreciate in this environment, and that is the potential loss of trust in the independence of the Federal Reserve, and therefore, by extension, loss of trust in treasuries, loss of trust in the dollar. And so that is very bullish for gold and silver. Now, today, what didn't do very well is crypto. Everything crypto basically bombed. Bitcoin-related equities did terribly. Bitcoin miners were all in the red, some in double digits, even the high-quality ones. Bitcoin, however, fared the best almost amongst cryptos, down slightly, still at 111,000. Ethereum was down 2.6%, Solana down 3%. Basically, if you go down the market cap, the more you go down I'm looking here, by the way, the more you go down the market cap ladder, the greater the loss. So Solana was down 3.18%, Doge was down 3.05%, and Pudgy Penguins was down close to 6%. So all in all, crypto did terribly, and so we basically have a tale of two markets going on right now. So what is the reason? So as I mentioned, stocks were very happy with this morning's report. You saw basically green across the board. Some green was brighter than others, but green nonetheless. Fewer red squares in our view of the market. Now, this despite September being one of only two negative calendar months on average for the S&P, and in fact, September is the worst month on average for the S&P. And it's even worse post an election year. If you look at 2025, that's in the blue, how it's been performing so far. I know we're only a few days into September, but if you look at the average post-election years, we are headed in an opposite direction, that is up, as opposed to down, as we usually do around this time of year. Now, when does the market pick back up? Again, here we're talking averages. Typically, it bottoms in October, and then we have November, December, January as very strong months. So the yellow line, that's November. Green in second place is April, but below that, December, that's in red, and then black, which kind of mirrors December's performance, that's January. So you have really strong months here in November, December, January. That's on average again. And September, that's the Fushi color at the very bottom. That's the month we're in right now, and you can see the big discrepancy between September and other months in terms of return. And crypto is really having a hell of a time so far. I mean, if you look at this chart, our crypto bubbles, at least, basically everything is down except for M. Who the heck knows what that is? But then again, this is crypto that we're talking about. But everything basically is in the red. And September is actually the worst month for Bitcoin. If you look on average, down close to 5% on average, Bitcoin is. So what's happening right now? Is it time to panic? Well, a wise commenter on X today said the following: should crypto investors panic right now? Well, global liquidity drives risk assets like crypto. Bitcoin moves almost a one-to-one correlation with global liquidity. That there is a lag between the two, around 30 days. But the correlation is what it is nonetheless. It's around 0.9 actually. It's not 1. It's 0.9, which is very strong correlation. The highest correlation being 1. So they move in the same direction, and basically 90% of the time. Global liquidity is largely influenced by U.S. rates, which has spillover impact on everything, liquidity globally. And so when rates are rising, that means monetary policy is becoming tighter. That's bad for crypto. When rates are falling, and that means monetary policy is getting looser. That's good for crypto. Now, if you look at the CME FedWatch tool, it shows for 2025 a 0% chance for hikes and a 98% chance of cuts in September, October, and December. So I think that this is, basically what you need to know with regards to crypto and whether or not it's time to panic. Global liquidity is rising. In fact, we're near an all-time high. And in the United States, which is, I think, the most important player on the global scene, it does look like liquidity is set to rise. And the regime is expansionary for at least the rest of the year. And therefore, I think what is causing a pullback in crypto are a number of factors. Obviously, there are some self-fulfilling prophecy here with regards to September and people getting defensive in their positions, having been burnt by too many Septembers in the past. And there's also some dynamics related to Ethereum getting hot and some inflows going from Bitcoin, institutional inflows going from Bitcoin into Ethereum, the hot asset. And now we're seeing some outflows from Ethereum. And therefore, there's some contagion happening. And I think that there's obviously a lot of leverage in the crypto space, a lot more so than there is in stocks. And so it tends to be a fickle space with regards to, it's getting less and less fickle all the time as, institutions move in, but still fickle in that, a change in sentiment can really compound and act as a snowball falling downhill at some times. And therefore, we're seeing a bit of a pullback. But again, if you look at something like Bitcoin, it's at 111,000. So we're not too far off from the high. What are we, like less than 10% away from the high? So it's not like we've experienced a dramatic pullback. Yeah, in the smaller altcoins perhaps, but nothing really that major. Today was kind of a tough day for Bitcoin-related equities for sure, but I think that the panic is not well placed. And in fact, so long as I believe that the part of the liquidity cycle that we are in is the expansionary part, I'm still going to be inclined to buy these dips as opposed to calling a top and making a fundamental change in my strategy. Now, there is a time for that to happen. And no, I'm not going to be betting on the 4-year cycle ending, as I hear some commenters kind of advocate. And perhaps it does, but I'm not going to run that risk. I will position myself defensively when I feel like the top is around the corner. But I'm not getting from what I'm reading from the market right now and the fundamentals, monetary policy, fiscal policy, even. I don't think that that's the case. We still have a few more months here before we get to the top. And so, no, it's not a time to panic. And I think it's important for, it seems like stock investors don't need this pep talk, but perhaps crypto investors do. When we talk about averages being negative, that does not mean that it is. It's more likely than not to be negative. There is, magnitudes, and it certainly doesn't mean that it's always negative. We're talking about averages, and so the magnitude of the loss will impact the average. And if you want to know, what are the percentage of times that the market is green versus red in September, you need to look at the median. And so the median is actually for September is, so that's the midway point where, half of the results are above it, half of the results are below it. That's right around 0%. So that means it's basically a coin toss now whether or not September ends in the red or in the green for the S&P. And I think, by extension for crypto, eventually crypto will follow other risk assets. It's farther along the risk curve for sure. It's considered a riskier asset in general compared to equities, but the correlation is very high there, and I think that they will move generally in the same direction. So with that being said, I don't think that there is, I think actually the report this morning was a good one. We'll see what the report says tomorrow and how the market reacts to it with regards to jobs and how the economy is doing. And so long as we're in a regime where the monetary supply is expanding, I think crypto is going to do well, albeit with some bumps on the road like we've seen recently. So with that being said, let's go to questions. Assalamu alaikum, PIF family. Wa alaikum assalam. Amar Farouk, can you share your thoughts about gold price movement with interest rate cut? Yeah, I actually think gold is a really good investment. I think one of the things that I could rotate into if I move out from from crypto is for sure gold, and I'll probably do that. Assalamu alaikum, brother Cam. What are your thoughts on the Elver post merger? I'm going to have a deep dive on that, but I can tell you that I think Elver is in a really great position. And I can see a number of potential catalysts that maybe investors aren't looking at that can help Elver, especially considering the market that they're serving and what I expect to be the demand for lithium-ion batteries moving forward. Someone, could you suggest a good ETF for precious metals? Perhaps I'll take a look, Brother Fahad. Once rate cuts occur, don't you think, Muhammad says, Assalamu alaikum, brother Kam, wa alaikum salam. Once rate cuts occur, do you think we are due for a recession in the near future? It's always possible, but if you look at the earnings that companies have been posting, it is encouraging. So I think that especially with AI and efficiencies that's bringing in and the enhanced cash flow potential that's affording companies, I think we'll be fine. Buka says, Assalamu alaikum, brother Rakaan. This evening I saw a very concerning video by the Perfect Union where they discussed the law trouble Tesla is facing currently. Prosecutors claim Tesla Elon knowing made false claims about capabilities of their vehicle, which they blame for the deaths of innocent people. Is my concern justified? Well, look, all I can say is you must be new to Tesla investing, because there's always a lawsuit against Tesla in perpetuity, and there always will be a lawsuit against Tesla anytime you have. And I would challenge you to find any company that is near $1 trillion that doesn't have ongoing lawsuits against them. So no, I wouldn't consider that a cause for concern at all. This is not to say it's a complete non-event, but this is certainly par for the course. This is just another, well, in today's case, just another Thursday. Moose says, Salam, alaikum salam, PIF member, the email about Discord. Inshallah, we'll get that solved for you. I promise. Bobka says, okay, this is the same question. Is September a buy month for crypto? I mean, I would ease into it. I wouldn't, back up the truck, but I would ease into it. And I think the time to buy any asset, not just crypto, is when sentiment isn't that great, because then you're going to get better deals. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Is ISRG at an MPI price? Yeah, I think it is. If you look at our watch list, it is in the buy zone. Just add content. Okay. Hey, Salamat, Dr. Khalid, Salamat Pesiro. I probably said that wrong. Wa yakum, inshallah. Thank you all for tuning in. Become a PIF member if you haven't already. Leave a like. And until next time, make sure to take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum, and peace be upon you all.